Hello and welcome to our presentation. This presentation is sponsored by Ron Blank and Associates, Elixir Environmental, and GreenCE. Ron Blank and Associates is the premier product specification consulting firm in the country. Our team helps manufacturers develop cutting-edge courses about their products, develops HPDs, declare labels, LEED docs, well docs, and other sustainability documentation for manufacturers. Let's get started. By the end of this presentation, manufacturers should be able to describe how manufacturers can get specified on LEED v5 projects, understand mandatory documentation requirements for LEED v5 projects, support programs that increase product specification opportunities for LEED, review how HPDs, EPDs, and just labels can contribute to LEED projects. LEED v5 is the newest version of LEED. It will have a significant impact on the construction industry over the next few years and offer many opportunities for building product manufacturers. Game changer is a word that is often overused, but in this case, LEED v5 will change the game and greatly impact the industry. Manufacturers who are prepared will succeed, while manufacturers who don't board this train will be left behind. LEED v5 is built around a restructured LEED rating system framework. The main goals of LEED v5 are the following: decarbonize the building industry swiftly to reflect the urgency of the climate crisis, inspire and recognize adaptive and resilient built environments, invest in human health and well-being, create environments in which diversity, equity, and inclusivity thrive, and support flourishing ecosystems through regenerative development practices. LEED v4 was launched in 2013. It unleashed a set of confusing acronyms that manufacturers had to learn, including HPDs, EPDs, and LCAs. New credits were available for manufacturers like the sourcing of raw materials, the Environmental Product Declaration Credit, and many others. LEED v4 presented many challenges for manufacturers. Manufacturers with strong sustainability programs profited off these changes and dominated the marketplace for years. Over time, other manufacturers saw that LEED wasn't a fad and adopted many of its requirements, including HPDs and EPDs. There was a massive learning curve for LEED v4, and there will be an even larger one for LEED v5. That's why it's important for manufacturers to understand the complexities of LEED v5 and not get left behind. On September 28 of this year at Greenbuild, the USGBC launched a draft of LEED v5 operations and maintenance. The beta LEED v5 for building design and construction will roll out in 2024. USGBC is committing to a 5-year development cycle for the LEED rating systems and plans to launch LEED v6 in 2030. It's important to point out that the LEED v5 credits we discussed today are still in the beta phase and could change before being officially launched. What's new in LEED v5? There are several areas we will examine today and see how manufacturers can contribute points, get more products specified, overcome challenges, and increase their market share. Opportunities for manufacturers focus on carbon, health, resilience, equity, and ecosystems. You may not be familiar with some of these topics, so we will review them in greater detail and seek product specification opportunities within the LEED credits and strategies. Carbon requirements will be the most significant change to LEED v5 and be one of the most challenging aspects for manufacturers. It also provides massive opportunities for manufacturers. LEED v5 addresses all significant sources of carbon emissions in buildings. It provides clear steps for delivering buildings with ultra-low greenhouse gas emissions. LEED v5 rewards existing buildings for leadership and planning to hit future decarbonization targets for buildings with ultra-low carbon emissions. LEED v5 will enhance the carbon literacy of the industry and incentivize existing buildings to work toward ultra-low carbon and zero-emission plans. If you've previously dismissed carbon emissions or global warming, it's time to reassess this topic. Irrespective of your personal beliefs, there will be significant measures enforced across the country requiring your involvement, otherwise, you may be excluded from future specifications. Decarbonizing of construction is being mandated at the federal level, state level, local jurisdictions, and rating systems like LEED. Building product manufacturers face a critical juncture where adaptation is not just advisable but imperative. Those who fail to adapt to the evolving landscape of sustainable and low-carbon construction requirements risk losing market share, specifications, and jobs. In 2022, the GSA issued new standards for the concrete and asphalt used in nationwide GSA construction. These standards are the first in the U.S. to apply beyond a local jurisdiction. The standard requires GSA project contractors to provide environmental product declarations, where available. The standard requires EPDs and at least 2 environmentally preferable techniques or practices to be used during the material's manufacture or installation. GSA is implementing a whole building life cycle assessment approach for its construction and major modernization projects. In 2023, the federal government launched the Inflation Reduction Act, which provides $3.3 billion for GSA to invest in federal buildings to help reduce carbon emissions. This act includes $2.15 billion to procure low-embodied carbon materials for construction and renovation projects. This is great news for building product manufacturers who have the mandatory sustainability documentation to support their claims and get their products specified. Currently, 24 states have adopted specific greenhouse gas reduction targets to address climate change. Policies include carbon pricing, emission limits, renewable portfolio standards, and steps to promote cleaner transportation. States including Colorado, Utah, Minnesota, Vermont, New York, Washington, and others have implemented construction decarbonization laws and targets to reduce carbon emissions. We can see carbon emissions requirements being mandated from the federal level to the state level, and to green ratings systems like LEED. The LEED V5 building design and construction rating system for new construction will probably be the rating system that will apply to several manufacturers listening today. The beta guide for that system hasn't been released yet. However, we do have the new LEED V5 operations and maintenance beta reference guide to draw from, credits in LEED version 4.1 to show us where LEED V5 may be headed, as well as major announcements from the USGBC. Here are opportunities for manufacturers in the LEED V5 operations and maintenance beta phase. These prerequisites and credits focus on carbon emissions and climate change and show a lot of promise for manufacturers. EA credit, decarbonization and efficiency plans. This credit aims for deep reductions in greenhouse gas emissions by creating a decarbonization plan for a building over decades. HVAC, heating and cooling, and alternative refrigerant manufacturers could benefit from this new LEED credit. EA credit, GHG emissions reduction. The intent of this credit is to reduce environmental and economic harm associated with greenhouse gas emissions from building energy use that disproportionately impacts frontline communities. Manufacturers of renewable energy products like solar panels, wind turbines, and geothermal can benefit from this new LEED credit. EA credit, refrigerant impact reduction. This credit encourages the installation of equipment using refrigerants with low global warming potential. Manufacturers of HVAC systems, heat pump systems, industrial refrigeration systems, cold storage systems, supermarket systems, and retail and restaurant equipment could benefit from this credit. MR prerequisite, materials management policy. The goal of this prerequisite is to conserve natural resources, promote a circular economy, and encourage responsible materials stewardship through reduction, reuse, and recycling. The prerequisite mandates that project teams use environmentally preferable purchasing in categories such as building products, furniture, and electronic equipment. In addition, companies that manufacture bins for recycling and storage and collection can benefit from this prerequisite. MR credit, embodied carbon of interior materials during renovations. The intent of this credit is to cycle hard-to-recover and high-embodied carbon products during remodeling and renovation, to foster closed-loop product take-back and manufacturing processes. There are several opportunities here for manufacturers involved in renovations and expansions of buildings. Carpet, acoustic ceiling tiles, furniture, and gypsum board can all contribute 1 point for this new credit. To be considered for many of the LEED V5 operations and maintenance credits, manufacturers will need to have carbon emissions documentation such as an LCA or EPD. Currently, LEED version 4.1 requires EPDs for the Environmental Product Declaration credit. The AIA published the report, Sustainability in the Architect's Journey to Specification 2020. According to their research, 58% of architects use EPDs and HPDs to determine the sustainability credentials of a product. That report was released several years ago, and the adoption of EPDs and HPDs has only grown. Bottom line, manufacturers need to develop EPDs to be considered for current LEED V4 projects and future LEED V5 projects. Now that we've reviewed LEED credits associated with carbon emissions, let's turn our attention to the topic of health, which is integrated into LEED version 4.1 and will play a major part in LEED V5. According to the USGBC, 25% of LEED V5 credit weightings will relate to health. This will include factors like indoor air quality, water quality, and healthy building materials. Let's take a look at manufacturer opportunities in the Beta LEED V5 operations and maintenance system. EQ prerequisite, green cleaning policy. Companies that manufacture disinfectants, hand cleaners/soaps, and hand sanitizers have potential opportunities here. EQ credit, green cleaning. This is similar to the prerequisite. Cleaning products, disinfectants, hand sanitizers, trash can receptacle liners, and more can contribute to this credit. The majority of manufacturers today will benefit from the changes in the LEED V5 building design and construction ratings system. The system includes EPDs, HPDs, low VOC emissions testing, recycled content, and other features that are familiar with manufacturers. The beta version is still months away from being released. However, we can review LEED version 4.1 and recent announcements from USGBC to get an idea of what opportunities lie ahead and the documentation that manufacturers will need to succeed. Manufacturers have many opportunities to contribute points in LEED version 4.1. It's also important to note that the USGBC has stated there will be a multi-year sunset period for LEED version 4.1 until 2030, which means tons of new LEED projects will be developed under this system. Although manufacturers may contribute several points in LEED, there are 4 credits that our team has determined as easily achievable by manufacturers. Material ingredients, environmental product declarations, sourcing of raw materials, and low-emitting materials. We'll examine each LEED version 4.1 credit, identify opportunities for manufacturers, and contemplate what might be in store for LEED V5 building design and construction. The easiest and most cost-effective LEED version 4.1 credit for every manufacturer to contribute to is the material ingredients credit. It is a no-brainer method for any manufacturer to contribute a LEED point regardless of what type of product they make and what's in the product. There are 2 options for the material ingredients credit. Option 1, material ingredient reporting. And Option 2, material ingredient optimization. Option 1 is one of the easiest and most straightforward methods for a manufacturer to contribute a LEED point. You either have the required documentation or you don't. Option 2 was difficult to achieve in the past but has been revised in LEED version 4.1 to help more project teams achieve it. The two most common methods for manufacturers to contribute to the material ingredients credit is by having a health product declaration, also known as an HPD, or having a declare label. The HPD is the cheapest, fastest, and most requested declaration to meet this LEED credit, so we'll review it. A completed HPD is a reporting document that lists the various materials and substances in a product and identifies the known health hazards associated with each material or substance. What is the purpose of an HPD? It discloses data in standard format. An HPD provides information to help in product specification decisions. An HPD helps project teams avoid unfortunate substitutions due to lack of information. It contributes to meeting LEED version 4.1 and WELL credit requirements. Here is what an HPD does not do. Provide information about entire product life cycle. Analyze exposure or risk. Provide an assessment, label, or certification of level of performance. Assist in comparisons with products that do not have HPDs, tell a project team which product to use. AEC firms will usually insert appropriate language in the Division 1 of their product specifications documenting the fact that they are pursuing the LEED version 4.1 material ingredients credit. They will include a very brief explanation of the credit and its requirements, including the link to credit requirements on the HPDC website. Firms might state that if an HPD is required for a specific project, a substitution will be rejected if it does not have an HPD that meets the quality requirements. Our course sponsor Elixir Environmental is the premier developer of HPDs in the industry and should be contacted to find out how you can develop HPDs for your products. The big question for LEED V5 building design and construction is, how is this credit going to change? Will there be new requirements? Will manufacturers have more opportunities? The good news is that it appears manufacturers might be able to contribute more points in the future if they have an HPD. Currently, manufacturers are rewarded if they have a third-party verified HPD. In the future, there might be additional points for third-party prepared HPDs. The HPDC approves preparers and verifiers, which adds credibility to your documentation and helps ensure a LEED-compliant HPD. Bottom line, you need a LEED-compliant HPD or declare label to get specified on LEED V4 and LEED V5 projects. We've already discussed how important EPDs are in the beta LEED V5 operations and maintenance ratings system. They are going to play a significant role in the LEED V5 building design and construction ratings system. Currently, manufacturers are rewarded if they have a LEED-compliant EPD. Manufacturers that are new to EPDs and HPDs might be confused by these acronyms. Let's examine the similarities and differences. Here are the similarities between EPDs and HPDs. EPDs and HPDs are transparency documents used by specifiers. EPDs and HPDs can contribute points in LEED. EPDs and HPDs promote product optimization in LEED. EPDs and HPDs can be third-party verified. EPDs and HPDs drive demand for sustainable products. Here are the differences between EPDs and HPDs. EPDs focus on a product's life cycle and environmental impacts. HPDs focus on human health and potential hazards of a product's ingredients. EPDs are maintained by multiple global organizations. HPDs are maintained by the HPDC. EPD development requires an often long, complex, multi-step process. HPD development is typically quicker and easier than EPDs. EPDs require a program operator. HPDs can be self-published. EPDs don't contribute to WELL certification. HPDs can contribute to WELL certification. Bottom line, manufacturers that haven't developed LEED-compliant EPDs need to consider this resource since 50% of the credit weightings in LEED v5 will be focused on climate change. The next easy LEED credit for manufacturers to consider is sourcing of raw materials. Project teams can contribute points if they meet one or more of the following criteria: extended producer responsibility, also known as EPR. Bio-based materials. Wood products. Materials reuse. Recycled content. In the old days, recycled content used to be its own credit. Now it's part of a much larger and expanded credit. Manufacturers that have recycled content in their products, FSC certification for wood products, and take-back programs can benefit from this credit. Since recycled content may apply to many manufacturers on the webinar today, we'll examine that opportunity. Many common materials have recycled content because of how they are manufactured. Examples are steel, gypsum board, and acoustical ceiling tile. Some AEC firms can be very strict about verifying recycled content and may request third-party verified documentation. Recycled content is the sum of post-consumer recycled content plus 1/2 the pre-consumer recycled content, based on weight. What can we anticipate in the LEED v5 building design and construction rating system for this credit? That's hard to say, but carbon emissions could play a major role. There has been lots of discussions about carbon sequestration for wood products in sustainable design. In addition, there might be new categories and points for products that have been launched in the marketplace since the launch of LEED v4 in 2013. The landscape is constantly changing, so we'll have to wait and see. The final credit we consider, low-hanging fruit, for manufacturers is EQ credit, low-emitting materials. This LEED version 4.1 credit is accessible to many building product manufacturers, mainly interior-focused products. It's a very straightforward credit. You either have the emissions testing documentation and meet the LEED requirements, or you don't. It's that simple. The product categories for this credit include paint and coatings, adhesives and sealants, flooring, wall panels, ceilings, insulation, furniture, and composite wood. This credit uses the California Department of Public Health standard method for the testing and evaluation of VOC emissions from indoor sources for the emissions testing and requirements of all products except furniture. New furniture and furnishing items must be tested in accordance with BIFMA standard methods. And exterior applied products such as outdoor applied adhesives, sealants, coatings, and roofing materials must meet the VOC limits of CARB 2007 for architectural coatings and South Coast AQMD Rule 1168. One of the last major topics we will address regarding LEED v5 is social equity. In 2014, the USGBC launched 3 social equity pilot credits. Social equity within the project team, social equity within the community, and social equity within the supply chain. The credits have been designed to address social equity from the perspective of everyone who is touched or impacted by a building, including the building's construction workers, designers, engineers, and other project team members, its surrounding community, and those involved in the building's materials supply chain. Over the past several years, very few AEC firms attempted these pilot credits and very few product manufacturers met the requirements. That is about to change. If the Beta LEED v5 operation and maintenance rating system is any indication, there are going to be several new requirements for AEC firms and building product manufacturers. These will include mandatory prerequisites as well as optional credits. The Beta LEED v5 operations and maintenance ratings system includes the following requirements related to social equity. Prerequisite, social impact assessment. Prerequisite, occupant needs assessment. EQ prerequisite, green cleaning policy. Credit, equity within operations and maintenance staff. EQ credit, green cleaning. And credit, project priorities. It's fairly certain that LEED v5 building design and construction rating system will require documentation by product manufacturers to prove their social equity efforts. For the social equity pilot credits, USGBC required documentation that included the following: the JUST label, B Corporation, GRI standards, supplier assessment, and code of conduct. The JUST label has become a popular tool for manufacturers and may be one of the primary requirements in LEED v5 building design and construction. Let's take a closer look at this disclosure tool. The JUST label was developed and is maintained by the International Living Future Institute. They also developed the Living Building Challenge and the Declare label. The JUST label is a nutrition label for socially just and equitable organizations. As a voluntary disclosure tool for organizations rather than a certification program, it is a transparency platform for organizations to disclose their operations, including how they treat their employees and where they make financial and community investments. To IT requires reporting on a range of organization and employee-related indicators. Each indicator outlines measurable accountabilities in order for the organization to be recognized at 4 levels of performance, which are summarized elegantly on the label. Organizations can use the label on their website or marketing to demonstrate their commitments to these issues. Here's a recap of the most important LEED information for product manufacturers. LEED v5 Operations and Maintenance Beta was released September 2023. The guide can be downloaded at the USGBC website, and manufacturers have opportunities to get specified on these early projects. LEED v5 Building Design and Construction Beta will be released in 2024. This ratings system will go through a testing phase and is expected to be launched in early 2025. LEED version 4.1 will not sunset until 2030. This is great news for manufacturers who can use their current LEED resources to meet the specification requirements. Here are specification tools that manufacturers need for LEED: Health Product Declarations, Environmental Product Declarations, VOC Emissions Testing, Raw Materials Reporting, and LEED Documentation, which is a report on all the LEED credits you can contribute to a project. These are the minimal resources you need to get specified for LEED projects. If you don't have any of these mandatory resources, you're in trouble. These should all be on your website and on platforms like Sustainable Minds, Transparency Catalog, and Mindful Materials. The good news is that we can help you develop these resources to succeed. In addition to the LEED documentation you need for specification, we recommend your company promotes your sustainable products through continuing education. Our team can help you reach LEED professionals so they can specify your products. The strategies include online courses registered with GBCI, webinars registered with GBCI. This will help you reach the decision makers and get your products specified. Ron Blank and Associates can help your team develop these powerful tools for your team. Building product manufacturers who want to educate their entire team for free about LEED should contact Ron Blank and Associates. We have developed the LEED for Manufacturers Toolkit. The modules contain 2 hours of content to train your product reps about LEED. It's the #1 education course for manufacturers to learn the ins and outs of LEED and how to get specified on LEED projects. This program is a must for product reps, sales and marketing, and even admin staff. This provides a simple and easy way to learn everything you need to get specified. In addition, manufacturers wanting to know about the latest strategies to get their products specified should join an exclusive LinkedIn group. The Building Product Specification Group shares product specification strategies and LEED updates daily. It's a great place to showcase your expertise and share ideas. If you want to learn about the latest construction trends, marketplace, and specification opportunities, this is a great LinkedIn user group to join. Thank you for spending time with me today learning how to get your products specified for LEED. Our team is always available to answer your questions and walk you through how our specification system works. Have a great day.